live from the Russell Bazaar Studios here in Detroit, Michigan. The IT and the D Show, presented to you by DetroitNet.org. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, Bob, Dave, and Jeff.
Hello.
Greetings. Welcome.
Sorry, I'm waiting for the end of my spectacular intro to finish before we get rolling.
All right, fine, we'll wait.
Wait for it.
Do you want me to turn it
So
on?
were we not supposed to be talking over the Imperial March? Is that what it was?
You'd get force choked for talking over the Imperial March, and you know you would.
But you're talking now.
I know. Here we go.
So, what would you little maniacs like to do first?
Shower with our jeans on? No, I'm just kidding. Welcome, Metro Detroit, and I guess the three people that are probably listening in Interland to the IT and the D Show. This is Bob, the sales guy, here with Dave the Geek, Jeff, the voice of reason. Second week live doing this show.
They actually invited us back.
They actually invited us back. Can't believe it. We got a actually good show today. It's actually, what is it? Girls in Technology Day here at the studio. We have
Women.
We don't want
to offend anyone.
I'm thinking,
and we are going to be outnumbered. There's going to be 4 women here, and so we're not allowed to call it a broadcast.
it's been banned.
There's more women coming?
There are 2.
Yeah, we're actually.
Really?
Yeah.
So we have Davina from iTalent Studio. She's a rock star recruiter. She's going to be talking about some open jobs and some tips and tricks from the recruiting and job seeking field. And we also got Erika and Michelle from Girl Develop It, software coders, and they kind of founded a little classes and things in terms of getting girls more and women more engaged in the IT field.
Yep, Girl Develop It Detroit.
So last week we was our intro show, and we kind of gave a little background on who we are and what we do. Figured,
and we're not doing that again.
We're not doing that again. If you guys want to kind of read up on who in the hell we are, feel free to hit our website at DetroitNet.org, or you can hit itandthed.com anytime. Yep. During the show, the lines are going to be open the whole show. So what's the number again?
313-462-0107.
0107. Or you can also, we're going to have Twitter open, so if you want to send us a question or a comment at hashtag IT and the D, we will be checking those and reading them on the air if you guys feel free.
Or just at IT and the D.
Or at either one.
Or at DetroitNet.
They both work, so have fun with that.
We own them all.
so yeah, exactly. All your URLs belong to us. So Davina, did you want to say hi and chime in, or are you just going to chill out and let us ride for a while?
Well, you guys can ride for a while. I'll be here. I'll chime in when I need to.
I have my mini bottle of Reuniti.
Yeah.
So it's been an interesting week, and I guess before we get into the whole women in tech thing, because that'll be the Michelle and Erika will be the start of that. So it kind of blew up in our LinkedIn group, the whole NSA, Verizon.
Oh, we're going there.
Dude, it's a big, huge tech issue.
There's only been 30 comments in one
in
day.
the span of 4 hours.
Yeah.
So
if you're part of LinkedIn, and if you go to the group page, definitely join our group DetroitNet.org. A lot of good discussions, job boards, things like that. That's where pretty much most of our online discussions and jobs get posted. So if you're not a member of that group, feel free to join.
So, in case you missed the memo and all the coverage and all the screaming, freaking out people, the elite came out, and I guess there's a subcontractor to the CIA that is now hiding out in Hong Kong because he released basically the proof that they're gathering the metadata from the different cell phone carriers about who's calling who and when they're calling and all that fun happy hoo-ha, and people are just losing their freaking minds about this.
You know who's losing their mind? The guy that has to look through the logs, by the way.
Oh,
this is like a Tom Clancy novel playing out in real life. It's kind of sad.
Well, but it's a lot lamer
George
than
Orwell.
It's a lot lamer than a Clancy novel, and
did you hear the sales for that book went through the roof today on Amazon.com? Seriously, 1984 sales on Amazon.com are through the roof.
Dude, save your money, buy a copy of The Breakfast Club. Really, just come on.
Bless you, boys. It was a better year anyway for me.
So, and I know, in case you've not interacted with Bob, Jeff, and I on a regular basis, we tend to nearly kill each other when it comes to issues like this, just because we're not always on the same page, we're not always hanging out in the same vein. So
it makes for good discussions, though. I don't want you guys to be the same as me.
If we agreed with each other all the time, it'd be stale and boring.
Well, you wouldn't be sitting here.
Yeah. Right. So I'll throw it out there. My take on the entire thing is that it's a complete meh. I don't care. They're collecting data about, what phone number is calling other phone numbers. And it's basically every police investigation that's ever happened. It's just happening kind of even in real time.
Well, there's two sides to it. And I've heard both sides, right? They say, as soon as you open up Facebook, that's like the biggest invasion of privacy ever. But in my opinion, that's an opt-in.
Don't post on Facebook.
Well, that's an opt-in, right? Like if you go on my Facebook, I drank beer last weekend and I like Jägermeister. I mean, that's pretty much what you're going to get out of me, right?
Yep.
Came up to a conclusion a long time ago that arguing on the internet is the equivalent of fill in the blank, right? Mm-hmm. The old joke. But in terms of right, in terms of this though, I mean, you can look at it both ways. Right? There's one side that says whatever. I'm trying to be safe and by letting my data go, maybe we can protect someone. But I just heard someone say today, more people died from the flu in the U.S. than terrorist attacks. So I mean, how far do you really want to take this? And I get the whole Fourth Amendment thing. I get the whole protecting our rights, but also at the same token, I get the other side too, where big deal. If you're not doing anything wrong, don't hide it.
Well, but see, I don't even look at it as, if you're not doing anything wrong, don't worry about it. I mean, it's literally, so you look at what they're gathering. They're gathering this phone number calls that phone number, and here's the duration of that call, and it is what it is. And the analogy that I've come up with is it's like a cop, sitting on a road where they know that people speed a lot. And the cop sits there and has his radar gun pointed out the window. And odds are good that like 90% of the time he's not even paying attention.
So you're saying it's the online equivalent of a speed trap,
right? And as long as you're not speeding, it's not a big deal. And and even if you are, odds are good the cop's not paying attention when you do go by him. But every now and then the radar gun's going to go ding, and he's going to take a closer look at you. Well, that's what that's for.
Look at what I do for a living, right? I'm in sales, right? When I put together a SKU list, what do we call it? A bill of materials, right? What do we call it? A bomb. So we've been joking. We've been joking for 10 years on our cell phones. Every time we say, hey, did you prepare the bomb for this customer? It's like, oh, bleep, now the FBI is listening. Yeah, now we're on a watch list. And all we're doing is trying to sell boxes, right? And it's kind of boiling down to, we all knew this was going on for a long time, right? Now it's just kind of come to a head where I think the general public knows that it's real.
Well, what makes it so fascinating is the fact that, this young, what is he, 29 years old?
Yeah, he's got to move. Now he's got to move to Hong Kong.
Yeah. He gave up a $200,000 career. He's, girlfriend he's never going to see again. A house he's never going to see again. He's hiding out in East Asia somewhere. The feds are after him. It is. It's like a freaking Tom Clancy novel.
So I've got Mike Dennis, who's out there and listening to me and wanted to correct me that apparently the Hong Kong guy was about Prism.
Apparently we have no idea what we're talking about. Is what you're saying?
And I'm good with Mike. Thank you, because I'm good with that. Because I mean, it's all because Prism was the follow up leak that came out.
Is that what? Okay, that's right.
Now they've got hardware sitting in Google's data center and Microsoft's
that's one where Apple,
center.
Yahoo, and Google were all saying that we had never heard of Prism before.
Yeah. And we heard of the other acronym.
Yeah.
See, that proves how much of an idiot I was. I thought they were the same thing too.
We have a caller.
Already?
Telling us we're wrong.
Yeah. You guys suck.
It's actually the NSA.
Thank you for calling IT in the D. Hi, thank you for calling IT in the D on rawradiox.com. Who's this?
Is it Wolfgang?
Can you hear us?
Okay, standard rules of radio apply.
Turn your radio down.
Turn your radio off, yes.
Oh, geez, there it goes.
He's way behind.
Yes.
Hello?
Hello.
Hi, thank you for calling IT in the D on rawradiox.com. Who's this?
My name is Frank Cawley, and I'd like to know if they think it's all right for the...
Frank, you're cutting in and out really bad, dude. We can't hear you. Frank?
Going once.
Hey, bada, swing a bada. Goodbye, Frank.
Call back, Frank, if you have a better signal, please.
The buffer relay through the Prism network was preventing his call.
Exactly. They heard we were talking about bombs, and now we're the feeds being scanned.
Censored.
Yeah, exactly. The NSA is monitoring everything we say now because our lives are
standing right behind you right now. Look out.
I mean, the three of us we had a little barbecue on Saturday and sat and yacked about this for a couple hours, right?
Yeah.
And that was the one thing. It's like, well,
Over scotch, which
scotch.
always amplifies things. Yeah.
But that was the one thing we said was, if you got nothing to hide, well, how about you give everyone your passwords to everything? Is that
why don't you just keep the curtains open on your bedroom?
I was going to say, do you have curtains in your house?
Yeah.
Tell you
what, why don't you give me your credit card number right now?
I wouldn't have any more neighbors if that was the case.
Wait, do you have neighbors now?
Yeah, one.
That's the same thing with Facebook and jobs. You get to the point where people post their things on Facebook, and if you don't make it private and you're going for a job interview,
we talked about that with Russ last week.
Yeah, we mentioned that. Yep,
yeah,
absolutely.
I mean, if you're dumb enough to leave your Facebook wide open and you're going for a job at some senator's office or something like that.
Yeah, I was at keg stand last weekend.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, and there might be someone in the room that I had to drop a note to who might have had his Twitter and LinkedIn feeds.
That was a long time ago. I have no recollection of that senator.
Very
Did
fitting.
that happen to you? Did you do that?
It may have.
He was complaining about a very well-known Speaker of the House.
That rhymes with Schwalosi.
That's right.
Schmancy.
But this is not a politics show, so we're not going to get into that.
No,
not at all.
No, we're talking about privacy and protecting your Facebook and jobs.
Well, yeah, I mean, it is.
Yeah,
I mean, it's all one and the same, because I mean, if you're doing something that's going to get found out, yeah, you probably have something to worry about, and I get where the whole if you're not doing anything, you don't have anything to worry about. But I mean, that's the other argument that always comes up is it's the slippery slope, where for some reason, like if I'm okay with them gathering this data, then the logical like that article that was that you threw out there today, the logical according to them, the logical conclusion is if I'm okay with them gathering metadata and cell phone numbers, I'm okay with cops like kicking in my door and searching my house at any point in time. And no, there is a line between.
It's like a bad gateway drug. You let this happen, then
yeah, exactly.
Hence the slippery slope phrase.
Right.
Well, but I mean that's the thing, and it's a hyperbole, and I get it, but I mean it shouldn't. One does not necessarily equate to the other.
But I saw a thing today of a list that someone was putting together. I think it was on Reddit, where there was probably 15 safeguards they wanted to put on, like as far as like encrypting your browser to make sure it's always on HTTPS, encrypting your email, going out through proxy servers, so you're kind of like the anonymity or whatever that app is.
Oh, the anonymizer.
Yeah, and thank you. But there was like 15 different things to.
I'm getting a call right now together.
Oh, we have a caller.
Is that Frank?
Is this Frank?
Yeah, this is Frank. Yeah.
Hi, Frank.
All right, take two, Frank. What do you got?
Well, I was just going to say that on CNN they brought up the fact that the information that the government is picking up is the same information that the marketing people are picking up.
Yep.
They're getting the same information.
Well, and in some cases to a much greater level of detail.
Right.
It was a meme that was floating around that says, I don't always shop on Amazon.com, but as soon as I do, Facebook shows me ads about it.
Yeah.
Right. So anyway, I think it's a big, all the stuff that they're gathering is the same stuff that the private industry is picking up. So if we want our government to be dumber than the marketing people, then I guess we have to cut it out.
Well, and it's to a different degree of details. I mean, you look at what, there was the article that came out, I don't know, maybe 2-3 weeks ago that was, hey, this is what happens when you give your zip code, when you're at a checkout line, and this is what they use it for, and this is how they use it, and this is how they compile the data on you, the shopper, and all of a sudden, because there's, algorithms that go out and comb Facebook, suddenly you're going to start getting, Well,
what do you think though, when remember the Farmer Jack, I think was the first one that did the frequent shopper cards, right? And you swipe your card.
Right.
Because they didn't have consumer data, right? So we said, hey, we'll get all the consumer data and they'll give us all their info
for 2% off
for whatever off for like a lousy coupon a week, and they'll sell us their soul. And then they found out it was absolutely brilliant because they found out every single bit of data that they didn't know existed.
Well, yeah, but I mean, you know, so that, like I was just saying, so I mean, and everybody who, you know, reads our site and hangs out in our LinkedIn group and, you know, knows us on Facebook already knows this, so it's no shocker. You know, Bob's wife is expecting. Again, congratulations. Bob.
Yeah.
But, you know, so because
I'm
of
too
all,
old for this.
Oh, yeah, I'm getting too old for this shit. But yeah, so, you know, any day now that Bob's announced it on Facebook, he's going to start getting mailers about, you know, baby clothes
formula.
And, you know, and
when we were pregnant with her, when she was pregnant with her first, we got flooded.
Yeah.
It's coming again.
Yeah, no doubt. Like,
hey, so was he.
But see, now we don't have to buy anything anymore. We don't have to paint, you know, because it's another girl, right? So we don't have to buy clothes, don't have to do anything. So anyway, enough about that.
Anything else you wanted to follow up with, Frank?
So anyway, what you're saying is the government is picking up the same information that the marketers pick up.
See, but I don't think they are, Frank, and I guess that's what I'm getting at. You know, you look at marketers and you look at all the, you know, the big CRM databases that are out there, and they're actually gathering your specific shopping habits and your specific, like much more you-level data. And to be honest with you, that creeps me out a lot more than the data that they're talking about with this program, which is basically, like I said, I mean, it's phone numbers called, phone number, you know, what phone number calls, what phone number gets the call, how long the phone lasts, you know, phone call lasts, and that kind of stuff. And then there's, you know, yeah, granted, there's, you know, banks and banks and banks of computers that filter through that data really quickly, but it's still not, I mean, it's, you know, it's still non-data. Like, it's not, like, nobody's listening to your phone calls, and that's the part that creeps me out.
Hey, listen, I'm on the side that's saying that they should continue the program, and actually they're just holding on to data that, so that the stuff doesn't go away 2 or 3 years from now, so they can look back at things.
Oh, and I'm sure that there's, you know, and that's the part that I don't know that I necessarily believe, which is we get rid of it.
Well, if you look at like what in the Boston bombings, right? The FBI was on those two guys' tail for what, 2 years, 3 years?
They weren't on their tail.
Well, not on their tail, but they knew of their existence. They followed them.
Yeah, there was a blip that showed up like a year and a half earlier, and I mean, and that's
what I'm saying. What are they doing with the info? That's the one thing with I know what the marketers are doing with my info. They want to sell me more shit. But what is the government doing with it? I don't know.
They're waiting for you to do something wrong,
or have the behavior, you know, to try to do something wrong. You know, when is this going to be Minority Report? That's kind of my take, right? They can't arrest you for pre-crime, you know.
Well,
governmental stalking.
But they did. So, I mean, that's part of it, you know. So they came out and you know, because of all the blowout that's happened, you know, they basically came out and said, okay, look, here are two specific incidents where the data that, hey, Frank, by the way, thanks for the call. We're going to cut you loose, man. But here's two specific incidents where the data we gathered through this program allowed us to filter back and actually stop an attack before it happened. You know, and then, you know, you get back to the granddaddy of them all, Bin Laden. How did they find him? They found him because the idiot courier turned his sat phone back on, and they were able to start tracing him, and they were able to start establishing patterns. And that's what they're looking for.
And that's great for Bin Laden, but is that great for Joe Thomas in Centerline, Michigan?
Okay, right. But and that's the part that ticks me off about this is what... Dude, Joe Thomas in Centerline, Michigan needs a reality check.
That's a hypothetical.
In an ego. He needs a serious ego check if he thinks for 2 seconds that his phone calls are worthy of the NSA's attention. Like,
but you know what I heard about that in this NSA phone tapping system is that they hit for keywords. So if Joe's doing anything wrong, they're still going to take a listen based on a keyword that they.
So they're listening. They're listening to me every day because he
says bomb.
Because we say bomb.
Well, but I mean, and that's the thing, you know. So, and we talked. I lived in DC for years, you know, and you know, pre-cell phone and all that fun stuff. And it was, you know, it might have been an urban legend or whatever, but it was, you know, kind of a well-known fact that even at that time, the NSA had giant banks of computers that if you ever made a call on a landline and you said anything about, you know, bomb or, you know, terrorist or, you know, assassination or anything like that.
Like you are right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, don't do it, folks. You're on Raw Radio. IT and the D.
Sorry, Lori.
How many guys are on lists because they're like, oh my God, I want to kill my mother-in-law.
Well, yeah. Well, but I mean, and that's, you know, they go through and they look at that stuff, and you know, and it's one of those things where, you know, it really, you know, that's, you know, thankfully they haven't gotten to the point where, you know, like our kindergartens are suspending children for saying the word gun now.
Did you hear? No, the dumbest one is the kid that got suspended because his name in sign language is like a gun. Did you?
No, I missed that one.
This is rapidly developing, going into politics, but there's a
Jeff doesn't
school.
like politics.
No,
Yeah, he does.
Yeah,
He just knows that nothing good can come of this.
with Dave in the room, nothing good can come of it. There's a school in California that's doing a gun buyback program for toy guns.
That's bullshit.
Good God.
Toy guns.
Let the kids
Are
be
you
kids.
kidding me?
No, so the one
Wow.
if you Google the story, the kid's sign language, his last name or something, there's a gun in it.
Yeah.
And then
he
like,
got suspended.
They made like almost like change your name.
Yeah, so there's a good lesson to teach. Yeah, so we'll buy back your toy gun and then take that money and hey, kids, go buy yourselves a copy of Call of Duty. There's
Let's buy him a copy of 1984.
right.
And let's move on.
yeah, and next.
Yeah, next. We've kind of killed this topic.
So actually, are they here?
They are here. Erika and Michelle are here.
Well, I'll tell you what. Why
They're
don't we
chilling, having a beer?
All right. Well, why don't we go ahead and we'll take a quick break early, and we'll come back with them and get rolling that way.
Perfect.
Sounds good.
Thank you for tuning in to IT on the D, only on rawradiox.com.
Lines about 44 women.
All right, and welcome back to the IT and the D show here at the Russell Bazaar Center here in beautiful Detroit, Michigan. Again, this is Bob, the sales guy, here with Dave, the geek, and Jeff, the voice of reason. If you want to read more about us, you can hit us up on the web, detroitnet.org. If you want to submit any questions, you can via Twitter at IT and the D, or you can call in
313-462-0107.
All right. Well, back to the show. We, like I said, we had women in technology, even though they kind of got sidetracked talking about the the NSA stories going on. But we have a couple great guests going on right now. We have Erika and Michelle here from Girl Develop It.
Hello.
Welcome, ladies.
Hi.
So, the standard question always applies, and we got into this with Wolfgang last time. So, what made you decide that starting a group was the right thing for you? Because you know that we know that there are headaches that come along with that. So, like, what vacuum was out?
Us.
Yeah. What made you decide it was the right thing to do?
Do you want me to start?
It's your baby.
This is Michelle. It's not my baby. It's your baby, too. We're both moms.
Stop making that face, guys.
Girl Develop It has two mommies.
We embrace the rainbow, Girl Develop It. Thank you very much.
So last year I decided that I wanted to learn to code, and I tried looking up resources online. I bought a book, and I just never got around to doing it. So I found out about Girl Develop It, which is actually an international nonprofit. And I thought, why is this not in Detroit? This is exactly what I need. So I threw something up on a Facebook group, and Erika saw it and said, I want to do this too. So we met for lunch. She was really excited about it, and we literally decided, let's just go and see if they let us do the group. Let's do a local chapter.
So then, and as background, so at the time, Michelle, you were...
I was and currently still am digital director at WDT.
Okay, and Erika.
And I was in school studying computer science.
Okay, so you were already well on the path to being a nerd anyway.
Some would say I've always been there.
Geek, not nerd. Geek.
Semantics.
Well, no, there's a difference.
So, so you've got day jobs.
Yes.
And so then you've got the group going. And so what does Girl Develop It Detroit do? Like, what is it that you're all about?
So our mission is officially to empower women from diverse backgrounds to learn how to develop software. And what that translates to is we offer classes that are introductory software development. We also do meetups, so we do a monthly code and coffee, and women come and work together and code and help each other out. And
yeah, we've kind of expanded. We started doing practice workshops because we realized that people wanted to keep working on things after class and sometimes needed that extra push to get going. So we're looking at all kinds of different stuff and kind of creating a better network here of women who are in tech and women that are interested in it. There's other groups that are teaching younger girls how to code that have been starting chapters here, and we want to help them get established. We've been talking to Grand Circus about how they can do their classes here in Detroit and how they can grow their program and where we plug in. So
and that's a good follow-up question. I mean, who's the typical Girl Develop It Detroit attendee? Like, who shows up to these things?
The cool part is I don't think there is a typical attendee. In the beginning of our classes, we do this really cool thing where on a whiteboard we go around and we say, okay, why is everybody here? And we get reasons from I work with developers and I want to be able to talk to them, to I want to teach my kid to code, to I own a business, I want to create my own website, to I want to be a developer. Those are maybe my favorite. But we do get people in for all kinds of reasons. All ages. Our youngest student was 15. The oldest was 67. All kinds of backgrounds. It's really kind of cool.
Very cool.
And who's teaching these classes? Like, do you have a common
Local developers. So, Kara Jo, who you guys know, she was our founding
who is
instructor.
this again?
Trainer.
Yeah, no, sorry, she's dead to us now.
Yeah, if you're listening.
Yeah, Little Miss, I'm all about the D.
Let's live in Detroit, but then move out
by the
west.
way, I'm moving to Boulder.
Wrong.
We love you, Kara Jo.
We love Kara Jo. She started
different D. Denver.
She started her own
We love
chapter
Kara.
there.
Yeah, we love Kara Jo. Now she's doing Girl Develop at Boulder, right?
Correct.
Yeah, very cool.
Yes, but Kara Jo was our founding instructor. She taught, I think, probably like the first 5 of our classes. And we've expanded since then. We have a couple more instructors who teach our intro classes, and then some other developers who teach more advanced classes in JavaScript and PHP. And we've got WordPress and Python and Ruby and all kinds of stuff on the schedule.
So you got repeat customers as well, too. So you got people transitioning through essentially a career path in coding.
Michelle and I are kind of metrics nerds, and we figured out that
Yay!
54% of our students come back for second class and other events.
We have some
Fantastic.
groupies that come to almost every Code and Coffee.
Yep.
We've got moms that are bringing their kids.
You're sitting here in a leather dress. Yeah. Is there really a wonder that you have groupies? Come on.
Girls.
Really?
Yeah.
What happened to it was all about the rainbow 4 seconds ago.
Hey, I had this queued up. It's going to take a while, but when they talk about metrics, that's
Welcome to 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, I know, right?
Thanks for playing.
Bob, we forgot you were there, Bob.
Hall of delayed reactions.
If I don't mind saying so myself, it's funny when most of the events that we do, not one event has gone by probably in the last 2 years where I don't get cornered saying you need to do something more for women. And I kind of look and said, well, you're here, and what are we supposed to do to I guess get more women engaged in IT? Well, you guys are doing it, and I think it's phenomenal. I just wanted to make a comment. It'd be great to start getting more people engaged, right?
So apparently the moral of Bob's story is that we have to be nicer to you.
You guys did invite us onto your show, so
Of course.
Yeah.
And you guys were the first group to really reach out to us when we first started out. So we love you. But it's an interesting point because we get that a lot.
Geeks reaching out to girls. Yeah,
girls. Yeah, I know.
Go figure.
Yeah. Who ever saw that coming?
We do get that a lot. How do we get more women involved? And we don't really know. We've only been doing this for 6 months, and so we just kind of try.
Has it only been 6 months? That's
7
months.
Seriously, is that
somewhere in there?
Yeah.
It hasn't been very long.
Doesn't it feel like we've been here forever?
It really has. Already, even just tonight, yes.
Wow.
I think honestly, just the way it's marketed, it says girl, it's pink, there's us. People just feel more comfortable
There's
stepping
stickers in the
there.
studio for
There's
crying out loud.
There's Lisa Frank stickers
Those
involved.
stickers should be on your faces, incidentally.
Yeah, that's why we brought them.
For those that thank God this isn't video. We actually have multicolored butterfly stickers in the studio with us.
Mixed in between the cans of Pabst and Miller Lite. That's right.
But yeah, I think it was just people who didn't feel like IT maybe was something that was welcoming to them, or they just weren't sure, have come in, and then they feel a lot more comfortable going to other events.
Well, let me ask you this, Michelle. I mean, that's another thing. It's like, the biggest question is, how do you feel as a girl in the IT workplace, right? I go to IT conferences all the time, and it's 10,000 people. It's 9,500 of them are 40-year-old guys with navy blue sport coats and tan pants. But I mean, how does it feel to be a girl in IT? I think that's $1 million question.
I feel awesome because I go to tech conferences and there's 800 people there and there's no line for the girls' room.
And this is why we love Erika.
No, but in all seriousness, I really think it depends. And there's experiences across the map. I can really only speak to mine. I have found the community to be incredibly welcoming and warm and open. And if anything, I get guys coming to me and saying, this is awesome. How do we get more women involved in the field? So there's really a lot of openness there. And I don't think women on the outside looking at that necessarily would assume that that's the case. But
Does it take extra time? Does it take, a 2-step to figure that you actually know your stuff and you're smart? Or do you figure that, I guess, let me rephrase the question. Sure. No, is it, do you feel like you have to sell yourself in order that and people take you seriously? Because that's one of the things that you might hear or I might think.
Sure.
Yeah, the stereotype, right?
I do think anytime you're a minority in the room, you feel representative and you struggle with that.
Sure.
But it's pressure that I'm putting on myself. It's not coming externally. So that's something that I have to be aware of. But.
Sure.
And what would you ladies say to anybody who's just starting out in developing and who wants to learn more?
Come see us. We want to meet you.
One of our
Where are you?
You have a meetup group, right? That's
Yep,
that's
we
where you
have our
primarily
meetup group.
orient-
We have a Facebook page and Twitter as well. And I think
Girl Develop It? Is it / Girl Develop It? Is that all you have to look for?
If you go to gdidetroit.com.
gdidetroit.com.
you will
Right.
find it.
Yep.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that we hear from people is just they come to the class, sometimes they don't know what to expect. Sometimes they're nervous or they're excited, and just the energy that comes out of our classes gets people hooked. Even if they don't know if they're going to become a developer, they just keep wanting to come to the events and come to the classes and learning. So I think just we have such a positive experience no matter what level you came in, whether you knew nothing or you already knew you wanted to learn this.
Right.
The experience is just really positive. So
What can they expect day one in terms of what are they going to learn? Just
well, it depends on the class.
okay. All right. No. So there's multiple. I didn't know if there was an intro
Yeah,
class.
yes.
What does your software do, Bob?
Well, no, let me ask you. Well, let me ask you this: how much help did you guys get from the national or international chapter? Like when you said, "I want to start a chapter in Detroit," did they say, "Okay, have at it," and you had to come up with your own materials?
Well,
and
we
because I know
met
Kara
Kara
Jo
Jo-
did some of the stuff with.
I met Kara Jo at our first class, so they just kind of interviewed all of us separately. Decided that we like
They who?
had-
Somebody from
national,
from
yeah.
national, okay.
And then there was a curriculum that was started, but Kara Jo has rebuilt that thing so many times that they now use
So they
her
give you some
curriculum.
sort of starter material
Yeah,
saying,
there's
okay,
certain-
here's your intro to
Yeah,
HTML
there's
class,
certain core
massage it, however-
curriculums.
okay.
They say here's the meetup group. They get you kind of set up with those basics, but they also give chapters a lot of flexibility. So
Gotcha.
some of the practice workshops, the way our code and coffee has been run, are just kind of our own thing.
Well, and I was actually going to follow up on that. So you do, I mean, kind of like us, you do different kinds of events. So I mean, like, what are the different kinds of things that you have going on?
So we do the classes, which are usually 8 hours long and over 2 days or a weekend.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
Full day.
Wow.
And we do workshops, which are 3 to 4 hours. We do the monthly Code and Coffee meetups, which we all truck down to Great Lakes Coffee, and we pretty much have taken over on Great Lakes Coffee on Saturday
shout out to
mornings.
Great Lakes Coffee.
Yeah,
And
they're
Eric and I
fantastic.
get nothing done. We just talk to people.
We don't. It's so
we
funny.
never get anything done.
I'm sure actual coding is done, but just not by me. So we do
But that's
that.
what I mean. Those events are not about that for you guys. I mean, you're there as
No.
traffic
It's
cops
like our
and
open office
socializing. Yeah,
hours.
Exactly.
Bouncing ideas off.
So we do that. We just did an event called Get Involved with Girl Develop It because we had a lot of people saying, well, how can I volunteer? How can I teach? How can I learn more? And so we did a little informal spiel. We made some slides and people came down to D-Hive. Shout out to D-Hive.
Very cool.
And we had a little event there. And we've got a couple other things in the works for the summer and the fall.
We've been getting asked to speak a lot about women in tech, so we're trying to create more events that are just opening to anyone who's just interested in women in tech before they know what class to take. So if you're coming in, you don't even know what class you should be taking first or how you should be getting involved. So that's kind of what we're trying to do, open it up to even a wider audience. And everything's been organic. I mean, we kind of just put the meetup group and tweeted at a few people, and our classes keep filling
Clearly,
up.
there's a need.
Clearly, there's a need.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, we said from the beginning that we wanted to make the organization whatever the community needed. So we try to talk to people and listen and kind of hear what people want, and then we plan our programs accordingly.
That sounds vaguely familiar.
Just a little bit.
It does, yeah.
So I mean, I guess that's so. Like, how big is your typical class? Like, what do you do? What do people walk into?
So the classes are limited to 20 people. We did go 25 one time, which was fun chaos. But typically 15 to 20 is the class size. The Code and Coffee meetups can be anywhere from 20 to, we've got almost 40 RSVP this time, so we'll see how that goes.
And when is that?
That is June 22nd.
And where?
Great Lakes Coffee.
Great Lakes Coffee.
It's my anniversary. I can't go.
I gave a talk
Anniversary
in
of
Canada.
what, Bob?
Yeah, we saw that. You gave
I gave a talk
11
in
years of
Canada
my wife putting up
on
with
my
me.
birthday, so no excuses here.
Point taken.
So there.
Right.
Yeah, the classes, I mean, you pretty much come in, bring a laptop, and we'll get you set up, and there's slides that we go through, and we have the instructor that walks everyone through, but there's also teacher's assistants, so we have TAs that are also developers that go around in case someone's stuck, so if someone's really behind, they can actually continue with the class.
Yes.
Now,
I
you-
mean, go ahead.
I was going to say, you mentioned Grand Circus, and
Yes.
I mean, they're getting ready to open, right? Yeah, another shout out. But are all your classes in the same location? Do you bounce around different locales, different cities? I mean,
We
I know
love
it's meant to be
Atomic
Detroit.
Object.
Yeah,
Bruce
this needs to be
Watson.
our biggest shout out of the show.
Bruce Watson, we called him the Godfather because he came to our first class and pretty much got us set up and said, you can come to our space. And
Yeah,
use
he
our
actually
space.
came to our last event.
I was gonna say, Bruce is awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And pointed out that he left his office space, which was in chaos, because of a GDI event that was going on.
We always do the dishes at the end. We're very good guests.
Okay, you're not doing anything to break that stereotype then.
We're told not to, actually.
No, you know, that's really interesting because Michelle sent me this article a couple of months ago that was can we be nerds? Can we be techie? Can we be geeks and still be girly? Which, I mean,
Clearly.
for those of you who can't see us, Michelle and I are here in glitter and leather and stickers.
I just put a picture of you guys up on the DetroitNet.org Facebook page.
Yes.
I was
and let's just confirm that glitter and leather
And leather.
and stickers.
I was actually going to interject
stiletto,
and say that
They belong on your show.
Yeah. You guys came in.
what I was going to say is I don't know much about IT. I'm clueless, to be honest with you. And here walks in these three beautiful women in makeup and hair, and you work out. I know you do. I see it. Do you work out? Are you just
I
naturally?
walked the stairs today.
Okay,
I burn a lot of calories.
And K-Hub now hates Michelle.
I'm like, wait a minute. Do you know how hard I work for those arms? I just want to cuss at you, but I won't. But these
I'm still breathing heavy from walking up the stairs.
these are all very beautiful women. So for all of you who ever thought that IT people were these big nerds, who does the voice?
That's the guys. That's on this
You
side.
do
Yeah,
the
they're
voice.
right.
Do you do the voice?
Which one?
The basement of the science building.
Yeah, there's women here.
We're gonna get some software developed today, and we're gonna talk about some stuff that's gonna make you guys great developers.
It's not like that. These women are amazingly beautiful and brilliant.
Don't let that fool you, though. We are just as nerdy as everyone else.
No,
We-
because we've seen
that's
you
what
guys.
and
makes
I
you
don't
very
think
cool.
that.
Well, which is kind of freaky. Well, I mean, honestly, we knew that, or else you wouldn't be here.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're just nerdy in a girly way. We think it's fun to bring stickers that were cool in junior high, and we play boy band music sometimes at our events, and we just want everyone to feel really
You
comfortable.
went to the New Kids on the Block concert.
I
didn't
did.
You?
It was something.
That's why I said this is a
felt
class
like
of the
I
90s
needed.
chicks with the 80s guys.
Right.
Yeah, it was something.
Kara Jo and I once serenaded the entire third floor of the Madison building with the Backstreet Boys.
Of
so.
course you did. Why does that not surprise me at
I'm sorry,
all?
and the video exists where?
You'll never know.
Oh, we can find it.
But I do think, I've managed an IT person. I can't say department because it's a department of one. I'm actually hiring right now.
Congratulations.
If only you knew a group
Yeah.
that could help you with that.
Imagine that. But, when I first started, managing that position, I'm like, man, I don't know if I know anything about this. I'm learning to code. I have a lot of proficiency in the digital field in general. But when you're talking about servers and inventory, it was new to me. But I ask a lot of questions, and I learn quickly. So I've started to have more confidence in myself and think, no, I'm asking smart questions so I can make smart decisions.
Well, and honestly, that's the thing I keep telling people, and they don't believe me for whatever reason, but none of this stuff is really rocket science. Like, it's not hard to be a geek. It's not hard to be a developer. I mean, my degree is not in computer science.
Don't you have an English degree or something like that? Or?
Theater arts and biochemistry.
Yeah, right.
Mine is in psychology.
Shocker,
I'm not
he's
sure
into
who wins
theater.
on that one.
He's like theater, the attention whore.
Yeah.
Yeah, the biochemistry, so I can blow your ass up. So let's be careful.
Now we're on the
mute
list.
his mic again?
Now we're on the list. So let me ask you a question real quick. Like, what can people expect when they get done with your class? Is there a deliverable? Is there a cert? Is there something they can hang their hat on? I mean, what is the end game?
So it depends on the class. We're more skills focused than we don't really do the certification model.
Okay.
So our first class, the intro class, you come in, presumably not ever having written a line of code in your life, and you come out being able to build a website from scratch.
Okay.
You actually make a website in class.
Yes.
As hideous as it is.
Like for my side, it sounds more like it's almost more networking and building trusted friends and advisors. And by the way, you're learning something kind of cool.
It is. We think it's more like a family than just
that's what I
networking.
mean.
Once
Right.
you're in, we are your guide.
That's what I'm saying.
Should we be
Absolutely.
queuing up the Godfather theme right now?
Well, once you check in, you never check out. Is that what
I
it is?
thought I was out. They pulled me
But there
back
are-
in.
Is that Motel
That
Hell?
is a good
Yeah.
point, though. It's a step into the community, and it's kind of, there's now 400 members in the group, and a lot of them are...
And this is not grant funded, right? I mean, you're charging for these classes.
we charge for the classes.
But it's almost like a sorority where, like, you guys have a common bond, so you meet each other outside of the events. Like, hey, you were in that class.
Did you really just call them sorority girls?
No.
Well, we actually both were sorority.
yeah.
I said it's kind of like a different. NT different.
It is, but
Tentacles,
without
NT.
the
Huge
hazing.
difference.
Without the hazing.
Yeah,
Oh, come on! You have to come up with
drama.
a hazing for your intro class now. I mean,
Well, I mean, honestly, that's one of the reasons why, other than, kind of maintaining the whole women in tech thing, that we invited Davina along, because, I know Davina is one of the recruiters that comes to our group that looks for entry-level talent, that looks for, people that have got a little bit of experience under their belt and, they know enough to be dangerous. They've done, a little mini project or two. And so, I mean, I guess that's where maybe Bob's question was going was,
Sure.
so, okay, they sit through this class.
Mm-hmm.
What's the expectation?
And then?
Yeah. No, and then. No, and then.
Well, we offer more classes, so we offer follow-ups. You can, if you finish the intro class and you want to learn more, we've got JavaScript.
Are you actually
we've
just
got-
a giant pyramid scheme? Is that what the story
Yes,
is?
that's exactly what's going on here.
No, all these intro developers just feed right into Atomic Object. That's what it is.
Right, yes.
That's Bruce's master
So
plan.
Bruce is at the top of the pyramid is what
Bruce
I'm learning at.
Yeah, right.
I was gonna.
He is the Godfather.
I was gonna do a pure romance joke upon leaving, but I won't go there.
No, but we're trying to build and become part of an ecosystem for education because you guys know this. We know this. I get probably 5 emails a week from companies saying, I need developers. I need them. Find me developers. If I could grow Ruby on Rails devs on trees in my backyard, I would retire.
Yep. No, very true.
Well, I mean,
sure.
Davina can attest to that. I mean, that you can't find people fast enough for all your open recs. I mean,
No,
that's
we honestly can't. It's horrible. Right now I'm looking for Java developers, and it's like pulling teeth to find these people. Even front-end developers.
We said it a million times, if you're a .NET developer in this town and you're out of work, you're doing it wrong.
Oh, yeah, for
There's
sure.
clearly
For
something
sure.
wrong with you.
.NET's the other hot commodity that we're looking at, and it's just, to find these people is just ridiculous.
Right. So we have this problem, right? And so, we're working as fast as we can, and, we, of course, are not set up to just turn out developers, but there's other organizations. Grand Circus comes to mind. There's a bunch of other groups, though, that are kind of coalescing, working together towards the same purpose, which is to, homegrow more developers here in Detroit.
We just think that we can bring more women into that pipeline. So if you're interested and you come to our classes, you have a supportive group, you weren't in a supportive environment, if you decide this is something you want to do, we can kind of guide you into what your next step is.
What's that website again?
GDIDetroit.com.
GDIDetroit.com.
Well, yeah, because I mean that's actually one of the things that we've talked about is the one of the whole points of creating a 501c3 with DetroitNet was that we wanted to be able to, whatever funds do come in the door, we want to be able to turn around and fund scholarships. Whether it's New Horizons or GIT or any something to help people get their certifications, because the sad reality is, and we've all seen this, it doesn't matter how much practical experience you have if you can't make it past that HR roadblock. Right. Where they're looking for a cert, and that actually does, feed into the whole networking component of things. Where we've always said it's a cliche for a reason that it's not what you know, it's who you know. Mm-hmm. And that's where that should be that gateway there. Where maybe on paper not so much, but trust me, they've been through these 2 classes. Right. They know enough to come in and get rolling.
Mm-hmm. Sure, absolutely.
Yeah. I agree.
I hate it when I just make a point and don't leave it open-ended. Worst interviewer ever.
Was there a question there?
Erica found a job in her intro.
Yes,
our
at our
very
very
first event we had before we even had a class.
No, well, this will be a recurring theme probably for every show that we ever have. But we always talk about the path. Mm-hmm. Someone in my family had a job that was going nowhere. Got a No Worker Left Behind grant. Got an A+ Network Plus Security Plus. It was Bob. It was right.
I have this friend,
right? This guy.
It's not for me. It's for my friends.
It's my college roommate, Mitch Cumstein. But the fact that I talk about the past, so we got a level 1 help desk support job, right? And I said 2 years, you're going to keep certain up, and you're going to get a next job. So 2 years and to the day, he got another job. Now he's making a living wage. He got another cert, and he's a level 2. Help desk, but that's the whole point, right? Is when you start, this is kind of like your level 1 into this then level 2 is getting your certs and then kind of getting out there. But like I said, talking about the path, there is an end game. And this sounds like a great intro for people that are just trying to get their feet wet.
Yeah, absolutely. I, in 2011, had never written a line of code in my life.
Wow.
And 10 months later...
Not even on a Commodore 64?
I don't even
Wait,
know.
what's your degree?
She doesn't even know what a Commodore 64 is, Bob.
Yeah, I'm old.
Don't feel bad, because I don't know either.
Feel bad.
That's our job.
You really don't know?
You don't?
No.
I don't know computers, and I had one. That's messed up.
Yeah, go ahead. Ask her what a 45 is, Bob.
Generational gap.
How young are you?
You listen to the new album that just came out?
We don't need...
No, don't go there.
Yeah, don't go.
We don't need to go there. It'll just embarrass everyone.
Rule
I feel
number 1.
old.
So do we.
Yeah.
Trust me, so do we.
It's kind of...
So it's, you're people prepping for classes, they show up, bring a laptop. Do they need anything else? Like if I'm gonna, do we need to go out and, grab a copy of TextPad? Do we need, do they need to know how to install PHP? Do they need to know how to do anything like that? They can just show up. Here's my laptop. watch me go?
We cover all the setup in class. So in the intro class, they come in and they download Sublime Text. I think that's all they need for that class.
Okay.
For the PHP class, they come in and we do setup in the beginning, and we talk everybody through that kind of stuff.
So are you assuming everyone's on the Mac platform then?
No.
We hope not.
Thank you.
I'm just asking. She's
So
throwing out these IDs out there.
So what's the time commitment? That's the one thing I was still thinking about. What's when you say day one, what's the time commitment in order to get through?
Our classes are 8 hours long, so we usually do.
That's it. Okay.
Yep, 8 hours.
We've looked at doing some longer sessions just because we've tried to squeeze a lot in. But yeah, 8 hours is.
Do you give a packet? Like, so when they go home, do they have a packet of information?
So we like to save trees. We did do packets for the first couple of classes, but it was crazy with the printing costs, and we are a tiny baby nonprofit. And we do, again, like to save trees. So we have everything available on a site for the class, and they can go on there. And, they
still
can
a packet.
Yep.
Yeah, and
An online packet.
And we recommend, too, there's a few books that we recommend if people want to actually have a manual. There's some that we swear by. So.
Yep, and we pass out resources, and they ask questions, and we say, oh, you can go here and go find that. So we try to also be a hub for that.
And we've had developers come. We've had front-end developers come to the PHP class and want to take PHP. We had some developers.
You probably have people that are
the HTML and CSS.
Oh, yeah.
That came to JavaScript. That new programming languages, they just didn't know JavaScript. So they picked up really quickly because they've already had experience, and they just wanted to get.
And they could probably in turn help out their classmates with whatever problems going on.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of people partner up and try to help each other out if someone's stuck. So it's
That's
always
very
empowering when you're learning something and you figure it out and you can actually teach someone else what
Always
you just
the hard
learned.
part.
Absolutely.
So that's what we love seeing in class.
Ladies, I've heard you've had some boys show up at
We
some of your
do-
classes.
yes.
I was just going to ask you that. I mean,
Yeah.
It is
if
welcome
I wanted to
to-
attend a class, would I be
You
shunned
can come.
away? Yeah,
We
okay.
do not turn men
Well,
away.
you specifically, yes. You probably would be.
Mackie here.
Yeah,
Get
we've
him
had
out
a
of
few,
here.
We've also had male instructors. The Code and Coffee group is pretty mixed. Who shows up on Saturdays? So yeah.
Very cool.
Well, we're up at 10 o'clock, so we got to take a quick break. Ladies, if you're more than welcome to hang out with us for the next segments. But coming up after this break, we're going to have Davina in studio talking about open jobs going on in the market and kind of doing a little do's and don'ts and job seeking and job interviews and whatnot. So thank you for listening to IT and the D. See you in a few.
We'll be right back.
They're online.
Poor little
guy.
Probably followed you for miles, keeping up.
Hey, he kept up with you for like the first mile.
Real tomato ketchup, Eddie. You're listening to the IT and the D show presented by DetroitNet.org here on RawRadioX.com. Again, you're here with Bob, the sales guy, Dave, the geek, Jeff, the voice of reason. We're also here with the girl development girls, Erika and Michelle, and we're also here with Davina, rockstar recruiter over at iTalent. I think this segment now we're going to focus, kind of shift to Davina and kind of on the job side. Davina, what's going on?
All right.
Well, and again, before we roll in, though, if you've got a question, you want to talk to Erika or
absolutely.
Michelle or Davina, the number is...
The phone number is...
313-462-0107.
And Russ, I swear to God, if you call in about sandwiches, I'll kill you.
Don't forget to on Twitter, you can hit us up at or hashtag IT and the D, and we'll pick up your questions from there as well.
All right, so here's what's going on with iTalent. iTalent, we're a small startup company getting really huge, trying to fill lots of positions. Our three hottest here in Michigan right now are front-end web developers, .NET developers, and Java developers. You guys are a hot commodity out there, so, bring it through. Other things to really talk about, for jobs, the only thing I can't stress enough is make sure your resume is tailored for the job. If you're a Java developer, make sure you have tons of Java on there.
Says the girl who had typos on her resume.
Yeah,
yes,
right.
exactly.
We're going to go there already.
We are going to go there.
And a PDF resume to boot.
Hey! I promise it's not a PDF resume anymore. It's done in Microsoft Word. Okay?
PDF resume is wrong.
Yeah, absolutely.
Apparently it is.
It cannot be
According to these
scanned.
guys, yes,
Yeah.
it is.
I'm never going to get hired then.
PDFs are bad.
Pretty much.
Well, Dave, why don't you're the best at this. Why don't you explain why?
I'm failing everywhere from Facebook to PDF files. I'm screwed.
You're doing it
You're
wrong.
doing it right. So once upon a time, we wrote Bad
long
Resume
time ago.
Guy in a galaxy far, far away. We wrote
In a land.
Bad Resume Guy. Because, we have this whole series of Don't Be That Guys, and it's, Don't Be That Guy, Bad Resume Guy. And every now and then there are certain ones of those that just write themselves, whether it's because I have so many screaming voices in my head that they just blah, 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 come out on paper, or because I go to the recruiters and I say, hey, I'm thinking about writing X. Have you got any input? And they literally flooded me on that one. And the number one thing they hit me with was always Microsoft Word. Never a PDF, because, the dirty little secret in the industry is that nobody actually reads your resume.
It gets scanned.
Yeah, it gets, when you send your email off to like a blind resume box, or you see something online and you shoot it off to an email address, odds are good it just hits a mailbox, gets detached, gets fed into a scanner, gets, the whole OCR, or character recognition software thing, and goes into a database. So that's why, Bad Resume Guy 2 was all about searching. You're basically search engine optimizing your resume.
Well, Dave, don't you have 2 resumes?
I have about 8.
Well,
you have to.
One that's your 1 2-pager, and then one that's the 12-pager.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've got to tailor your resume for the job. It doesn't matter. Depending on the job, depending on the company, they may want something that's 1 page. Or you may get someone that says, you know what? I like a lot of information. I want to know what you've done. Elaborate. Make sure everything is on there. You apply for a job, make sure it's the correct job. Make sure you're applying for, you're a Java developer. Make sure you're not a mechanical engineer applying for a Java developer. Have that happen a few times.
Well, or if you are a mechanical engineer that's applying for a job, and that was another one that we had. It was actually right before our first Pink Slip party, was, the whole, the lessons from a children's toy, where you've got the block of wood that's got all the other little blocks of woods. And, if you're a triangle, fit into a triangle hole. And, well, if you're a square and you want to be a triangle, that's fine. Yeah, you're square, trust me. It's okay, but explain why you should be a triangle, or why you really are. Right.
State your case, put in your summary. I just graduated school in computer science. I just
went to a Girl Develop at Detroit class.
I can has HTML.
Yeah. Elaborate on information. That's really the only thing that I can tell you at this moment. And it also, the only thing I can really say about when you go for interviews, also know the company you're going for. Do your research. You want to impress them. Know your stuff.
So I shouldn't address my cover letter to whom it may concern, type of thing.
Well,
dear bracket name bracket.
If you're sending it off to a recruiter, that's perfectly fine. But when you do send it off to the hiring manager, ask the recruiter the hiring manager's name. That's just the best way of doing it. And if they won't give it to you, then fine. Put it to the company that you're going to, that the resume is going to.
That's the one thing, with cover letters, no one reads cover letters.
No.
I don't even know why that's even a thing.
Well, and our big shtick has always been, hey, every resume should have an objective, and it should be to get a job.
Yeah. Every resume that I've gotten so far has been to get a job in the project management field, or to get a job in the Java developer field.
Holding out for a management position.
That's what we don't get, though, because, people that come to our events, they go to Mishworks, and Mishworks is like, you have to have an objective. And like, why? That's your only objective, is to find a job. Like, to excel my career in the art of database administration.
You need to do that in that voice.
Right.
Do it.
Bob, your comment about nobody reads the cover letter, I've actually read people say that that's actually not true. People do read the cover letter, for Dave's point exactly, that resumes get scanned into databases.
Yeah.
And people want to know if you're a good writer, want to know that you're
absolutely.
It's the attention to detail and figuring out.
If your punctuation in English is proper, I think that's the only thing they're looking at, is making sure that it's not the content, it's the delivery.
The only thing that I can
it's the presentation. You're selling yourself to
that's
that
the
job.
email. That's the email you're going to send out to your clients. That's how you're going to present yourself internal.
And you will find the odd job out there that states, do not submit your resume without a cover letter. If you do not have a cover letter, your resume is
you get shredded.
Well, but that's almost a basic IQ test at that point. Can you follow? It doesn't even matter what the cover letter says.
Right.
Just did you actually have one attached to your resume? Yeah.
They ran spell check.
Right.
Well,
and that's...
Jeez, really?
Yeah.
The only thing that I'm honestly going to say is, take out the objective. Why don't you guys put your summary and put your skill set of what you've got in there? Been a Java developer for 7 years. Here's what I've done. I've used struts. I've used JavaScript. I've used plain Java text.
You're laughing because you know what this is talking about.
But, I've used J2.
Erica's sitting across the table going, check, 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 check.
I've used J2EE. Elaborate more. If you see a job description that says, I need Hibernate, Java, Struts. Okay, guess what? Your summary should include those 3 points and elaborate on it and make sure it's all in your resume, because if not, I'm going to tell you, go rewrite your resume and go to add those points.
So, funny story, Dave and I, we all...
funny, haha, or like, hey, this milk smells funny.
Funny because it's true. But we, the Shifting Gears program that Snyder does, like helping out like the 50-year-old executives that are in career transition.
Retooling.
We got invited to speak on one of these, and the first, we come in the back of the room and they said, hey guys, chime in on this real quick. What's the best resume? And we're like, the one that gets you a job. The crowd kind of laughed a little bit, and they go, no, seriously, what's the best resume? I said, listen, I got a job at Hewlett-Packard with a template, Microsoft Word template that I submitted through Monster. There's no secret recipe.
It's true.
Absolutely. It's the content that you put in.
Your mileage may vary.
That too. But what I'm saying is there isn't we see like the resume writers all the time and say, oh no, this resume is garbage. Well, they just want to sell you a resume writing service. Not saying they're all bad, but at the same token,
I'm pretty much saying they're all bad.
I'm good with that. Fine, go. You can go there. I was trying to be polite.
I'll get the hate mail. I'm good with that.
Go ahead. I'll filter them to you.
And this is Bob.Waltenspear.
That would be Dave.Phillips at
The only resume I really don't want to see is I don't want to see your summary, your career highlights, and then you just putting, I had this job from this date, this job from this date. List what
resume.
You did under each position.
You've got supporting stuff underneath.
Oh, absolutely.
Each
Yeah. I want to see supporting stuff underneath your position because if not, I'm going to turn around to you.
Quantify. I don't care. Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't mean to.
Go ahead.
No, but quantify everything you did. I tell it to everybody. Make sure that if you were 100% at work on time, put it. Depending on what you do, but you can quantify it. Doesn't matter what job you do or have.
Well, are you actually listing attendance awards on your
Davina, let me ask you this.
If that's all you have.
We're joking about giving these good tips and everything, but like if a candidate comes to you with all these, huge errors on their cover letter or resume, how much feedback do you actually give them before, kicking them to the curb and saying...
I'll tell you what. There's one person that I've submitted in the past couple weeks who their resume was completely horrible. I made this person change their resume, and this person ended up getting 2 interviews, and it had just finished their second interview within the past 5 days, and now we're just waiting for the final yes or no.
So it's your expertise in recognizing that talent and saying, hey, I need to hold your hand here for a minute.
Right, exactly.
Well, and that can be hard because, so cards on table. In IT, we can be a little egotistical.
Absolutely.
No.
Just a little.
And so it's, it's sometimes hard to, to get out, for, somebody to hear you're doing it wrong.
Right,
especially with something as basic as you're like, hey, what do you mean? What do you mean rewrite my resume?
I'm here, aren't I?
I know me better than you know me. So how do you get past that?
Well, you just have a candid conversation with them and go, your resume the way that it is. I honestly,
you can say sucks.
Yeah.
Well, I can't submit you. We need to rework this. Here's what I think, and I would send them, an example and go, this is how I think your resume should look for your job. And 9 times out of 10, the people have come back to me and said, you know what? That looks flipping awesome. And have taken their resume and completely changed the whole thing, send it back to me, and it's been a success rate.
And honestly, that probably goes speaks a lot to soft skills. Like if they're not open to that criticism or feedback, chances are they're not going to be a good candidate for you anyways. It's going to be more of a heartache in the long run anyway.
Well, and do you guys hear that from... Do you girls hear that? From a
ladies,
from a GDI perspective, when somebody's sitting there, in one of your classes, and they say, "Okay, now what?" Do you get the, "Hey, I need help with my resume. Hey, how do I incorporate this into what I'm doing or what I'm looking to doing," and that kind of stuff?
Yes, absolutely. It's not usually a resume.
And do you send them links to Bad Resume Guy?
I have to tell
because that's the last thing we need is SEO.
I have to tell you, I knocked out a whole afternoon in a bottle of wine reading That Guy post one day, and it was
fantastic.
Which one's your favorite, just out of curiosity?
Oh, gosh, I don't even think I can pick. I really...
Way to put her on the spot.
Come on.
Come on.
What's your favorite beer, Bob? Yeah, that's the same question.
Exactly, yeah. Bob, what's your favorite meat?
He's got an entire bottle of scotch sitting in front of him on the table.
Bob didn't pay attention. She said she polished off a whole bottle of wine.
I know, right? What do you expect from me?
Give her a break.
Yeah, all she remembers is don't be that guy and
No, it's more
Pretty
like
much.
don't be that.
So how do you help them with that kind of thing?
It really depends what they're looking for. I've looked at people's resumes. I've had, there's a lot of the startup companies do really non-traditional resumes now. Where,
True.
Yes. Yeah.
So people will email me and
Eclectic.
say, I don't know. I'm going to tell them this and that and the other thing, and I'll kind of go over it and
It's
say,
written
okay,
in
well,
crayon.
say.
The coloring book resume, I've seen those. Like, really?
Right, yeah.
Yeah, the only thing that I'm going to say about your resumes, please do not put them in color. Don't put them in blue. Don't put them in red. Don't put them in yellow. Unless you're...
All right, all joking aside, why?
Hold on. Unless you're a web developer and you're trying to show some type of design or anything, or you're some type of designer.
But even in your resume, I don't think you need that. I mean, it's,
No.
one of the recruiters actually came out and said, look, if you want to include links, to your body of work or anything like that, by all means do it.
Yeah.
If you're including graphs, charts,
HTML code,
screenshots, and all that kind of
HTML
nonsense, in your resume, it just looks like you're double spacing your college thesis. It's, you're just trying to add padding.
3-inch margins.
Some people just don't know how to do it properly. And if you do it properly and it looks seamless, fine. But for someone who's just throwing a resume together, please just keep it in black and white.
But see, like from my perspective, being the sales guy, right? I assume it's the same in web dev. Is I send a black and white resume. I get the interview, and from a sales guy perspective, I put together a PowerPoint presentation on my 30, 60, 90 and my relationship map, right? Saying, hey, these are the guys that I have relationships with
Right.
in this geography. For a web developer, it's the same thing. Hey, these, you send a black and white resume, but on the first interview, you're walking in with a book of your work.
You better be walking in with your portfolio.
Absolutely. So, it transcends. It doesn't matter if you're sales or if you're on the techie side. Send the black and white resume and bring in the book of work after, on your first, bring it on your first interview. Don't even hesitate.
No, and cite your portfolios on there. If you're a web developer, please put your portfolios on your resume, and it's great because then...
But if you're a web developer and you don't have your first name, last name, and have all your work on it, that should be...
You should just have...
Or some variation of it, or a Tumblr.
Yeah.
That should be your first,
Here's a funny thing. I worked with
You're
a web
doing it wrong.
developer about 6 months ago who, I told him, I was like, do you have an online portfolio? No. Why?
Yellow flag.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but you need to go put an online portfolio and put all your work on there. Your resume, you need to elaborate on it. You need to. Do you have a LinkedIn profile? No. Why don't you have a LinkedIn profile that pulls your Tumblr account, your
It's
Behance
2013
account,
for crying out loud.
these types of things, and he's like, okay, I'll work on my resume and get it back to you. Never once did he respond back to me in 4 days. And,
You shunned him.
I
Yeah.
did.
Yeah.
I did, because this person was in the older group and chose that, hey, my shit doesn't stink and it doesn't matter.
In my day,
When I was your age,
we didn't
have the fancy schmancy portfolios.
And
You'd
we
be
wanted
what are you
this, to work.
You'd
Get
be
off my
surprised,
social
though.
media.
Well,
I've
sadly-
hired younger people in social media and digital positions and for design that have no social media presence. I'm like, how are you going to do my
How is
social
that?
media if
Yeah,
I
right,
can't find
right.
you on the
Right.
internet at
Yeah.
all?
They have a friend.
It
It goes back
Then
to the
they
whole
have a
NSA
three-
discussion, right?
Here's
And
why
then
my
they have a
MySpace page was
three-page-
fired.
Right, they have a 3-page resume. I'm like, you just got out of college. You have not done. I don't need to know that much information about.
Yeah,
like,
I was a
the coffee
bagger at
shop you
Kroger
worked
in
at. Right, like at
1986.
some point,
Played
too much
volleyball in sixth
information
grade.
becomes like. I just don't care now. Like, you're just adding stuff to add stuff, and it's not actually relevant to this job, and none of this experience applies to this position, and you're just trying to show me that you do things. But
Right.
Yeah.
And you just brought up a great point, because what it comes down to is when you're on your resume and you're going for a Java developer position, make sure your Java experience is on there. And if you've done other work as you were, you worked in a coffee shop or things like that, put it as other work and just list it. I was a server at blah, blah, blah.
There is no such thing as a one-dimensional job anymore. I mean, let's be real.
Right.
I mean, in today's day and age, with the market the way it is, everybody's getting pushed to do more.
Absolutely.
I don't know when it happened over the course of my career, but somehow I became the master of Visio. I can diagram systems and okay, call Dave. And oh, by the way, I'm the only person around that understands DNS. Call Dave. And so, but I mean, that really is. I mean, it's
Right.
the more diversity that you can show.
Dave's the smartest man alive, if you haven't figured
I
that out
am
yet.
not
is,
even
yeah.
close to the smartest man alive.
Johnny
Dave's a hot
Bravo.
commodity. Like, come on.
Depending on the topic, I'm not even the smartest guy in the room.
This room?
Yeah. Wrestling. Bob has me beat
come
heads
on.
cold.
That's
Right.
so fair. That's
Nasty
Anyways.
dive bars in the Metro Detroit area. Bob
Oh,
has me beat.
absolutely.
Moving right along.
I'm proud of that one, buddy.
Well, no, so I mean, but that does, so it's it's hard and it's weird to have to try to educate people on the basics of that, where if you're looking for a job in social media, you should be out there, and showing basic proficiencies at it, and it does matter which one it is. I mean, it's a sad reality where we just had somebody move into a house up the street from us, and I walked around and I'm like, oh, the sticker on the back of his truck lists his MySpace page. We will not be friends.
Yeah.
Well, that was
I now have permission to mock you.
Right. we will not be friends.
The one shifting gears. There was an expert,
the very
social
first
media,
one.
The social media
MySpace on
before
his slide, right?
There was. It was like, wait a minute.
Yeah,
who?
the importance of social media, and she actually and the
first
lady who
bullet.
had invited us looked back at us and said, "Hey, so what do you guys think about MySpace?" And I said, "Well, are you a 23-year-old girl following a band? If the answer is no, get off MySpace. It doesn't matter."
Right.
For sure.
But even for IT positions, when I've looked for developers, or now I'm hiring an IT person, actually, I'm going to look and see what your reputation
and
is.
just for
online, if
giggles,
there is
what
one.
kind of gig are we looking for?
Yes, Michelle, please tell us about your...
It's a systems administrator level 2 position at Wayne State University, working within WDT. That's what it is.
Excellent.
It'll be posted sometime tomorrow, so I'll get you guys the link.
Very cool.
Very cool.
Posted on our LinkedIn page, by the way.
Okay, I will do that.
She won't.
I used to work in social media.
I'll have to
LinkedIn.
remind her tomorrow.
Yeah.
So again, like I said, so how do you handle that kind of situation? I mean, like, is it a frequent ask? Is it something that you get hit with every single time? And so along with the how do I get involved, is it something you're starting to develop content for?
Yeah, it is. It's happening more and more because the more people come through the classes, the more they say, okay, well, now I think maybe I want to do this. Those are really fun emails to answer because I was there 2 years ago, and so it's a fun question for me, but they're also really involved because there's a million different ways that you can go.
Yeah, there is no single answer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So those take time, and I just kind of have to tailor it. And this is how Michelle and I end up putting an extra 20 hours a week into this stuff because it's stuff like that.
Well, and actually, and that was my next question is, so how much, like, I know how much of a time sink this is for us.
Right.
How much time does it soak up for you guys?
Hey, you guys are
It
clearly
depends
committed.
on the week. I mean, when we have our classes, Eric and I usually both try to make it to all the classes. So if we've got, 3 classes a month, we're at those classes. We're there late, cleaning up. We're meeting beforehand to make sure we have everything together. We're constantly answering emails. And we get stuff from National, too. So there's conversations going on between all these other chapters on how do we want to handle this? How have you guys done this? Here's this new event we've checked out. And people approaching us about jobs that are open or just general
3
questions.
geeks asking you to come on a radio program.
Right. Yeah. So we're like, oh.
Random mayhem.
Yeah. Like we went to Canada last week. People were asking us to come back to Canada again.
So
Canada, tell
where
us
in
about
Canada
that.
did you guys go?
Windsor.
Not
Windsor,
Davina.
but where? Did you go to University of Windsor? Where?
Hackforge.
Hackforge? Okay.
Yeah, it's at their public library. It's a hacker space, and they had an event about
the one
women in tech.
downtown? Mm-hmm. On Olette? Okay.
Yes. Yeah, and apparently there's lots of people over there that have the experience, but there's not tons of jobs in Windsor and IT. So.
No, there really isn't. And let me tell you the reason why I'm saying this is because I'm actually Canadian and actually from Windsor. So
you've noticed the inflection in your voice, though.
Yes.
Yeah, well, exactly. But you
You hide it well.
That's right. Pop quiz. Ask her about Degrassi.
Please don't.
Is Windsor north or south of Detroit?
You know what? It's the most southern point in the border.
There you go.
But anyways.
I think Windsor is the mythical South Detroit from Don't Stop Believing.
It is, right, yeah.
I thought it was Wyandotte.
But for, all my friends over in the IT industry in Windsor, I can honestly say a lot of them do get TN visas to work over here because there is just not enough of a demand over there. Actually, here's the funny part. I actually got a business system analyst position out in Tennessee through iTalent, working at one of our major corporations. And he's, doing a great job. But
so how did they wind up dragging, how did they wind up dragging you guys over there? And what were you there for? What was the scoop?
Michelle and I have discovered this funny thing where you put your face on something and people assume you know what you're talking about.
Absolutely.
Wow, is that true?
And especially us Canadians who,
You're such open and trusting folk.
we are.
There's only like 3,000 or 4,000 of you. I mean, it's not like it's.
Oh, shut up.
Do you want me to throw this out of my car?
Yeah, go ahead.
Are we talking Windsor, Ontario, or Canada?
No, Canada. I thought that's all it was.
No, so we get an email from the one of the directors of the Windsor Hackforge, which is a new makerspace over in the they're out of the public library, and they said, "Hey, we're going to do our lunch event, and our theme is women in tech. Will you guys come over and give us a talk and be on a panel?" And we said, "Sure, why not?"
How did that go?
We thought we were just on a panel, and then they're like, well, we're going to have these other people talk about stuff, but can you guys just present too? We're like, sure, we have a presentation from the Get Involved event. We can modify it. We're fine. We like talking about this. So
That's actually how this whole radio thing happened.
Yeah, right. You kind of like fell into this bass backwards. So,
Well, we're coming up on 10:30, so we're going to take a quick break. Davina, what's your website so people can look at the open jobs that you got posted?
You can go to italent-llc.com, or you can email me directly at davina.beh@italent-llc.com.
That's awesome. You're listening to the IT and the D program presented by DetroitNet.org. We will see you in a couple minutes.
Driving down the road, well, the plastic never lasts. Why did you have to go? Young hearts die young when they're all alone and there's no...
All right, we're back. The IT and the D show here live, Raw Radio X. Just for a little trivia sake, the last song we've been having a discussion off the air, that was from the golf and stuff date scene from
oh no, I was
going
to have people call in for that. Do a trivia contest.
We could have.
Name the scene, name the movie.
Yeah, and for all the K-Hub fans out there, she's been telling us
she's never seen the Karate Kid.
No, I saw it, but it was like 1987 or something. When did it come
that's
out?
no excuse.
84.
It's no excuse.
I caught my 6-year-old doing that thing.
crane technique.
The crane technique. For
like,
crying out loud.
what are you doing? He's like,
If do right, no can defend.
No can defend.
Dave named his firstborn boy after Johnny Lawrence. I think his middle name's Lawrence, isn't it?
No.
You tried, I think.
No, but
he
good
didn't let
story.
you.
So great story.
It's not a good story.
No, we discovered that when we discovered we were having a boy, my wife wanted to name our son Luke. And I was like,
No.
I'm like, we can't do that. And she's like, why? I'm like, I will walk in the door every single day and say, Luke,
I am your father.
And he's going to go,
and she was like,
no, that's not true.
Yeah, that's impossible. And she was like, no, you won't. It'll get old. And I'm like, no, really, you clearly do not know me as well as you think you do. And so we'd get together with Jeff and Steph or Bob and Bo or whoever else, and she would ask them. She'd be like, hey, I'm thinking about naming our kid Luke. And Jeff would be like, are you out of your mind? Dave will walk in the door every single day.
Pretty much repeated what Anita said.
Right.
All right, well, getting back on track real quick. Like I said, this is the IT and the D show, DetroitNet.org. We're hanging out with the girls in IT. Sorry, girl develop it, not girls in IT.
Close enough.
And also Davina from iTalent talking about jobs, resumes, and all that good stuff.
What was that URL again?
URL, yeah, your URL is awful, by the way. I want to talk to your boss.
Yeah, we need...
You know what? Let's just put it this way. We're rebranding everything very shortly, so we will have...
Can we help?
Yeah, absolutely.
And speaking of rebranding, we are taking calls. We're thinking of renaming the show 2.5 Geeks.
Yeah,
yes.
way to cut off Davina there.
It's fine.
Who's the half a geek, Jeff or me?
You.
No,
Bob,
fine.
we've already been through this. Come on.
I know.
Right.
I had to do it on the air.
Oh,
Small,
okay.
medium, and large.
So if you have questions, concerns, comments, 313-462-0107.
Or wisecracks.
Or if you want to hit us on Twitter, you can at IT and the D.
So I'm not going to let the opportunity go by. So Erica, talk to me about the article that came out and
Oh, God.
and what that's about and what you got going on there.
So that was actually Amanda Lewin runs Michipreneur, which is a fantastic blog for the Michigan startup
How is
scene.
that? What is that again?
Michipreneur.
Okay.
Michigan entrepreneur.
Yeah.
I got it. Just checking.
Stick with us, Bob.
I'm here.
Have another beer, Bob.
Yeah.
It's delicious.
Speaking of which,
And so
Nice job, Jeff.
she sent me some great questions, and I answered back, and she wrote a really great post about us. So that came out this morning. It was really
And it was
fun
all
to see.
about
It was good.
supporting women in technology here in the area, and it was a very cool thing.
It was a good read, but
Thanks.
no doubt.
Stop waving a beer at me.
I'm just going to hand it to you.
Be
trying
thankful
to tease
he's
you.
only
There we go.
waving a beer at you.
Erica, you have to open it up in the mic. That's the rule.
Yeah, that's...
Yeah.
Nice.
All right, so where do we go from here? Where do we want to take this last half hour? I mean, I know
Actually, Jeff and I have.
I would say
have a
we
few points.
started talking about
Oh,
the.
Want to talk about Karate Kid?
Well, no.
We could fill the next 4 hours.
No,
with
absolutely.
During the break, Davina and I got into this whole discussion about stereotypes in IT and how, in the IT industry, most recruiters are female, most developers are male.
Absolutely.
Oh, I love this topic.
Yes. And we have 2 women here in IT that are proving that stereotype wrong and trying to correct that stereotype.
Well,
that
was at one of our events, Jeff. What was that? Girl real pretty, and she comes up to us.
Oh yeah, had it happen. There was a very, very
What are you, a
attractive
recruiter?
woman,
Yeah.
that walked up and she was mad, and I was like, hey, what can I help you with? What are you looking for? Like, who are you looking to hire? And she said, no, I'm a Java developer, and I was like, okay, sorry. And B, here's why nobody's talking to you. I'm like, so general rule of thumb, attractive women at our events tend to be recruiters.
You are in a room full of men.
Yeah,
and that gets back to our conversation earlier.
And the recruiters aren't talking to you because they think you're their competition. I said, so come on, let me introduce you around. And I brought her around, and she actually wound up with a new gig a week later, and life was good. But I mean,
it's like we need big orange flags, to explain people, who.
I swear to God, I'm a developer. Yeah.
And it's actually pretty funny because there are not that many male recruiters out there. Unfortunately, it's all
about 25% in our events, I would say.
Yeah, I would say that.
Well, and so Erika, you were laughing. Why?
Oh, just
because she knows it's true. Because she sees it on a daily basis. I mean,
well, from the recruiter point of view, I mean, is it like the reverse? Like, our events are mostly male dominated, and the recruiting industry is all mostly female dominated. Like, it's
absolutely. iTalent at one point we were looking for some recruiters, and the whole point is everybody in our office is female, and our CEO is the only male in the company. So
it's a rough life.
Sounds like Bob's house.
Sounds like Bob's house.
But it's
does he have a bulldog by chance? 'Cause that's Bob's answer. That's what he's looking for. Yeah.
No.
Do you think that's even with HR departments? I realize that I tend to have more women in even HR.
So let me ask
you.
Well, but that makes sense because women,
Absolutely.
and again, stereotypes being what they are, women tend to be more empathetic, from an HR perspective, where I don't even enjoy going to see people in HR, let alone putting somebody like me in HR.
So let me ask an honest question. You want to hire a recruiter, and it's known that recruiters are usually girls. Just for the simple fact of, wouldn't you want to hire that just because if you hire a guy and he's going to have a hard time kind of breaking through, or would you want to keep the perception alive?
No, absolutely not. We actually just recently hired a male recruiter, and he's doing a phenomenal job with us. The things that he brings to the table is completely different than what I would bring to the table.
Such as?
Well, he's part of different groups at different places that we're not part of. And so he was able to bring that to the table. He's able to have more of a candid conversation with some of the males, because you get some of those males that just want to talk to the females online or over the phone. And looks like, Dave, you have something to say.
No, I was just going to say, cue every joke that we've ever made about us basically being the eHarmony of the IT industry.
Well, pretty much. I mean, if it wasn't for...
Do you guys need a guy recruited group to attract men who want to work in recruitment?
That would actually...
opposite problem.
because Michelle doesn't have enough free time right now.
Eric and I are going to we'll just start it.
No problem. And I'm just going to come along.
What was that about, Mispreneurs?
Yeah. So we actually got our first Twitter question. You mind if we jump into that real quick?
For it. Do it.
Yeah,
we got Mike H. in Macomb. Yeah. Any insights on GM's plans to expand IT in Warren or Detroit? What are they looking for?
Okay, they're expanding. From what I'm understanding.
Well, I know they got rid of HP as their
did.
outsourcer, and they're trying to hire back all the HP people that they felt.
Well, and this is part of the circle of fun with GM. So my first, what I refer to it as my first tour of duty through GM was when they first started up the IS&S group down at Brewery Park downtown. And they were, going to kick EDS out, and things were going to be different. Like, they were going to bring it all in house, and that. Went how it did, and this seems to be another run at it, which is good. But from what I understand, they're opening up or expanding the tech center in Warren.
Yeah,
looking to bring
2,000 jobs.
Yeah, 2,000.
Well, those
jobs.
are the HP people they let go. From what I'm understanding.
Well, because they put everything offshore, and now they're bringing everything back to onshore. And good for GM for doing that and creating more jobs around here.
Well, and some of that is good for GM, but I mean, some of it is, I think, part of the whole, outsourcing model has sort of started to die off.
It has.
Well, because the realities have started to set in. It's not as cheap as it used to be.
No.
It's the basic laws of supply and demand. But even when it was cheaper, okay, great. So, it costs 33% of, what the traditional in-house developer costs. But when you have, whether it's language barriers or time differences or, things that get lost in translation.
Think about bandwidth costs on transfer.
Well,
on software.
so the next thing you know, you've got 4 times that 33%.
Yeah, you're not really
saving
saving
cost savings
No.
anymore.
Yeah.
And it's quality versus quantity. Yes, they can do a great job over there, but so can we over here. And it's
Says
about
the Canadian.
Isn't your visa about up right now?
No, not at all. Thanks, Jeff. It's about just bringing everything back here. I mean, we're expanding. They're starting to call Detroit the new mini Silicon Valley, which is great because we're not the auto industry. Feel free to chime in anytime you want,
it is.
Erika.
It's absolutely true because it's you look at and we've seen it from all of our events. There is so much untapped talent here in the area.
Absolutely.
That
look what GE did. 2 years ago?
And Google.
Well,
they
GE
hired 1,700 people.
Burned through our events and hired 120 some odd people
From
in
our
the span
events,
of a year.
But I think they hired 1,700 total.
Right.
And they're still hiring.
Oh my God.
And so it is what it is. It's
Detroit is growing. Yes, okay, our auto industry here in Detroit may be depleting, but our IT industry is going to be huge.
Skyrockets,
and
absolutely.
it's great because all these old buildings in Detroit are all starting to be used up properly now again. And hopefully we can clean up the city with the IT.
Things are going good when there's traffic on I-75 again.
Absolutely.
Brings up the Tourette's and everyone.
Absolutely.
Right. So and that's a good question. You guys are running these classes downtown, and you see all this stuff. What are you seeing from a vibe downtown and how things are going?
A lot of excitement and a lot of energy, which is really cool to see. I think that because Detroit has so many challenges and because,
such a nice way to put it.
I don't need to tell anybody in this room that, but I think that that's an opportunity for people to do really awesome things. And I think that there's a lot of really cool brain power that's being grown here and that's coming in. And I think that, I don't know, I keep seeing cool things happen. And
the coolest thing I've seen was we were sitting with lunch with some business friends and, I forget, we were at Jacoby's or someplace down around CompuWare, and I go, "Oh my God, did you just see that?" And they said, "What?" And I go, "That was a white girl jogging just now across the street." And I go,
and she wasn't being chased.
And I go, for me, that was the most amazing thing because
that was Bob's giant revelation that there's hope for Detroit.
I went to Wayne State in '94. I grew up around here, so I've seen it good and I've seen it bad, and that was the biggest sign. It's like, okay,
Yeah, I remember being on Wayne State's campus back in '94, '95, and you wouldn't walk down any of those, Cass Corridor, areas, after 5 o'clock or whatever.
And that's what we're seeing now. That's been kind of the cool part with Detroit Net is we're seeing more and more people now that are sending us emails that are saying, okay, I'm not in Detroit now, but either A, I used to be, or B, I want to be. Can I join your group and can you help me get there?
Right.
Absolutely. And then that's the shift in the dynamic.
But look at our events. Look at our events. We never had events in Detroit for the longest time. We called ourselves Detroit Net.
Well, no, we tried.
We tried numerous times.
And they were hands down our worst attended events ever.
But the last year
parking,
and a half,
I don't like the traffic. It's like it's a catch-22.
Suburban kryptonite.
And we've
but look at the last
8 Mile kryptonite.
We've had no problem bringing women to our classes, which says something.
But the last year and a half, we've seen a paradigm shift with our events.
It's much different.
It's a different,
Even the fact that there's a Girl Develop It chapter in Detroit, we were one of the first 11 chapters of Girl Develop It.
Sure.
The fact that they thought this was a good place to come. The fact that Black Girls Code, which teaches minority girls.
I've seen that.
That's fantastic.
They're coming.
saw that too.
They're starting a chapter here. Girls Who Code, which does summer programs for juniors and sophomores. They're coming here. So there's all of these groups nationally that are looking to Detroit to start chapters, and we're one of the first cities that are getting these.
Well, and that was actually one of the questions
chapters.
that I got from people when I shooting out on Facebook, Twitter, everywhere else that you were going to be here was okay. So we already kind of covered the age range. You've had 15-year-olds in your class.
We're supposed to start at 18.
Details.
Whatever.
Are there other groups out there, for the kids that are still in high school that are looking to do something over the summer and expand their skills? And
even younger, they're talking about
to have that road to the certifications.
But even they were talking about teaching. I saw a couple articles I loved. Having a couple elementary school girls talking about teaching code to 5th and 6th graders. I thought that was brilliant.
That was her.
That was Erica.
That was Erica.
Okay, that was the article I mentioned earlier.
And
welcome to 5 minutes
welcome
again.
to
And we've had moms reach out to us and dads say, all right, girl develop it. Can my daughter come? And we're trying to create funnels. So no matter what your age,
you never say no.
We never say no. We try to just push you in the right direction because our classes are targeted towards adults. But there's all these groups that are coming with great classes, and we're actually working on some programs with Atomic Object as well, where we can take our curriculum and modify it for.
Yeah, you're doing intro to programming. You're not doing calculus too.
Right.
No, and I mean it makes sense. If you think every study you've ever read or heard, says the best time to learn a language is in that before the age of 5 or 6.
Yeah.
Well, and here's a prime
Why are
example.
programming languages different?
Here's a prime example. I'm teaching my daughter how to speak French. Why? Because I'm French Canadian.
Why?
Come on,
Isn't that a dead language?
No,
Sanskrit.
not at all.
Are you going to take her to Quebec? I mean,
Absolutely.
Haven't they seceded
the
yet?
other thing is
This beer must be French because I got to go wee.
oh my
I went there.
and we're done. Thanks,
I went
Bob.
there.
Thank you. And it is
Same thing
10:50, and we're.
But it's the same thing that teaching a 5-year-old how to code is the new thing because you start looking at everything that this world is getting into, and it's just all about coding now.
And it's the perception of it too. If you can get younger girls to think this is something they can do from that age on, it totally changes things.
It brings the whole stereotype thing we were just talking about. Yeah,
right.
I mean,
and then getting them through and knowing that there's people like Erica that are actually doing this for a living, and you're like, oh, okay, here's a girl that's
somebody's
doing
giving
this.
me money.
Well, think
It's
about
not just
going back to
your
even
mom
to my
that it's okay to
Yes.
have the Barbies and look good in a
and
leather
it's
dress
right.
and still code.
Or in our world, Jeff, the iPhones /droids.
Yeah, I mean, you've got the two camps of passionate IT people and
Whatever, iDrone.
No, I look at software. I look at it as an empowering, right? I remember, they're going to say how they feel old, but I remember my first Commodore PET in 5th grade, where you could hit Alt Run Stop and break open the code and then change it to whatever words and then resave it, and then oh my god, I just developed software. But at the same token, it was something you created, right? It's no different than Legos, in my opinion. You look at it as something you created from nothing.
I think learning to write code gives you this almost magical ability to envision something and then make it come to life.
Absolutely.
And it's the electronic version of
There
Legos.
comes the
That's how I view
egotistical
it.
arrogance because it makes you feel like God.
So here's something
All right,
really stupid.
Step off. Yeah.
When-
Step right off there.
Here's something really stupid. When MySpace came out with, you can change the background of your MySpace page. You have to go in and do your own coding. If you want to
It's like
change it to purple.
GeoCities all over again.
Oh,
Right. But what I'm saying is, if you want to change it to purple, you change
Shiny
it. You use
flowers,
this.
wee.
Right, exactly.
MIDI files.
But
WebRing.
Dude, they brought in,
WebRing. Thank you, Michelle.
they
I
brought
was
in
part of
stickers, leave them
one
alone.
for pets.
They did
Well,
bring
what I'm
stickers.
saying
excellent.
is you go in and,
It's
and
like
you learn all
1997
that.
all over again.
And
We all start
unfortunately, but by that point, back in that day, I really liked it at that point. But there was nothing in the college industry that actually got me to be able to do any of that.
Well, and it does. I mean, I look at, so I've got a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old, and I look at what they are and do and just how natural the whole tablet, phone, I'm convinced my, 5-year-old daughter can just see inside code the way that she just knows things works.
Yeah, she's like the Matrix.
Well, exactly. I mean, and that should be encouraged because that's the right age, and I have her online playing with stuff, and whenever, if I'm working on something on the computer and she comes by and she's like, hey, what's that? It's not, daddy's busy. It's okay. Yeah, well, honey, this is what I'm doing, and this is the shtick, and it's if she wants to go that route, awesome, yay,
Yeah.
next generation geek. But I mean, it is. I mean,
You'd
that's
be proud.
I would. That's the right time to turn them to the dark side.
And that encouragement's important, though, because I was telling the story of Nick Donardis knows this, and I was talking to him about Girl Develop It. I was really nerdy as a kid. We were the first people to have a computer on my block.
Yeah.
I would kind of break it apart.
Yep.
I started
Tear
making
it apart. Yeah.
weird
And
websites for virtual pets, and I started hacking the program. And then my dad said, "What are you doing? Who are you talking to online? Why?" And you had to keep replacing the computer.
Red flag.
And they weren't seeing, they were just worried about why is this little girl so
We're
obsessed
raising
with
a
this?
geek.
And they were, not the geek side. My dad's obsessed with Star Trek and makes inventions. So he's pretty geeky, but he just didn't understand computers and he didn't understand the internet. So they were freaked out by it versus supporting me and saying, oh, this is great, and there's other girls that do this. You don't have to just go hang out with like boys. You can also do this, and that's good. Like, there's a career for you if you actually like this. So I just deviated away from it and always thought it was interesting, but kind of got guided in a different direction.
And
if you have parents who see that this is something
like
that
peer
their
pressure,
girl,
or your peer groups, or
yeah, I think it was peer. No one else was really that into computers. They didn't want to come over and watch me play a video game and mess it up. And
hey, let me
yeah,
come over and watch me take my computer apart.
Yeah, no, that was not fun for most of the girls I knew. My parents it was just more they were naive. They didn't know.
Yeah.
And
so if you can have girls who see this and their parents see this as something positive, it makes a big difference.
Right.
And just really quickly on that part, because I know we're starting to wrap up here. Like, even my dad, who is a younger person, you know, he does this. I'm going to hit one button at a time, and this is how he types. And
my mother-in-law double clicks every link on the internet.
Oh my God, is that driving me nuts?
Will you just please stop hitting that?
And it's not even that. It's, you know, something breaks on his computer. He calls me going, Davina, come fix my computer. You know, and the unfortunate part is I've had an act from this since the beginning, and it's just evolved from there. But I don't, you know,
it is a black hole. Once anyone in your family learns that you know anything about computers,
I get phone calls about the router. Well, I'm doing this. I'm like, Mom, I'm at work. Can this wait? She's like, okay, well, I just did this. I'm like, oh man.
You just preface every phone call from your parents like, no, I will not fix your computer.
And now she has an iPhone and there's FaceTime. She's like, but look at it. I'm like, oh, I don't want to look at the computer.
Yeah. My grandmother is 80 years old and
I'm
calls
at
me.
work.
Yeah, and my grandmother's 80 years old and calls me and goes, Davina, I don't know how to fix my computer. And I'm like,
power to her for having a computer.
I got it.
Right.
Yeah, right.
My grandma doesn't speak English.
I got a phone call today.
And it's harder, but, you know, my grandmother, I just tell her, go on Crossloop, tell me your password, I will go in and I will fix it for you, you know, and it gets down to that point.
I got a phone call today. Can you rip a YouTube video and then put it on DVD? I said, absolutely. Send me the link. So here's the link, youtube.com, and then search for this keyword.
Nice.
And what was the
And it's
keyword?
like,
And the keyword was like, no, and I go, there's 100 videos.
Don't ask for the keyword.
Pick one.
Please do not ask for the keyword. Well, yeah. So I'll tell you what, we are actually coming to a wrap up here, and I want to make sure we get one last roundabout of pimps and shout outs. So Erika and Michelle, it is GDIDetroit.com.
That's it.
Davina is at iTalent-LLC.com. Schwa.
There's a tilde in there.
You guys can all find me on LinkedIn. You know, look under Davina Bay, BEH.
No relation to Michael Bay.
No, not at all. You can email me at davina.beh@gmail.com or gmail.com. You can use that one also, or you can email me at davina.beh at italent-llc.com.
Oh my God.
Yeah, you know, and that's
again,
when it
we
gets
so have to
confusing.
talk to him.
You know what? Yes, but we will work on the rebranding. Once again, guys, iTalent, the positions that I have open, you know, Java developers, .NET developers, web developers, anybody looking for a position, please do email me. You know, and even if you want to have a candid conversation about your resume, please feel free to email me your resume.
And we'll have all of these, links and email addresses and all that fun stuff out on our site.
And we got an event coming up too, right?
Yeah,
over at
next
Atwater Brewery.
Thursday.
Next Thursday.
Yeah, we're taking over Atwater Brewery from 5 to 8 next Thursday.
DetroitNet.org for details.
We are truly networking Detroit one beer at a time. That's
right. I will drink more than one.
Finally.
And GDI has an event.
Yep, Coding Coffee, the 22nd, from 10 to 1 at Great Lakes Coffee. Just come in, free event.
Free event.
You'll see us.
Just
Table full of laptops and women.
Nice.
And men, apparently.
And men as well.
I
And
was
some
going to say,
kids.
you say that, then you're going to get a couple guys showing up.
Oh, we have.
Right.
Well, Erika and Michelle, thank you very much.
Thanks for having us.
Appreciate the time, definitely.
And
Absolutely.
we're at itandthed.com or detroitnet.org. That's where you can find us. And if you're actually out there listening, thank you for tuning in. We appreciate it.
All three of you.
Definitely.
all tens of you.
Can we do the Drew and Mike send off? Thank you, Detroit.
It's too late for me to say no.
All right.
Thank you.
His mic has been off for 10 minutes.
Thank you again, IT and the D.
Thank you for tuning in only on rawradiox.com.
eastbound and down, loaded up and trucking. We gonna do what they say can be done. We've got a long way to go and a short time to get there. I'm eastbound, just what no bandit